Hello, I'm Major Shiznik from the Fantasy Strike forums, and today I'll be commentating on Juice Let's Commentary of Castlevania for the Nintendo 64. Alright, walking into the clock tower, which we'll see if this holds up to the platforming insanity pedigree of previous Castlevania titles, in particular Castlevania 3 and Super Castlevania 4, which have fairly notorious clock tower sequences, if my memory is correct. Certainly Castlevania 3, since I still can't beat that goddamn level. I was skipping. Alright, so we have our fine protagonist, Mr. Reinhardt, doing some pretty elementary platforming, seemingly whipping a switch or a doodad, and chicken balls. I guess if you need even more chicken, in addition to the copious amounts of found foodstuffs that this game provides you, you can run down there and, do even more platforming. But instead, Jude elects to just continue up, and we see some of these classic rotating gear type things, which are spinning at a fairly slow pace. I mean, nothing too crazy about these, it seems. Pretty manageable. It seems like they have half-decent collision detecting. Cough, cough, Castlevania 3. Let's see. So he's seemingly taken a not totally direct path up the clock tower to grab this torch here, which got him basically garbage. And this torch here, which... that's a key. Alright. Oh, that is not a kind jump to make. That is the reason why everybody hates the clock tower sequences of Castlevania games. And by everybody, I mean the entire population of Castlevania players who don't hate themselves. Alright, let's see how he fares on this next attempt. Okay, I don't know if that was working as intended, but he got up there, so we'll just take it. Alright, continuing forth. Section is 100% focused on the platforming. Oh geez, that was rather acrobatic. Nicely done. Yeah. Okay. Saving, which is, not a bad option, because, these sections tend to have controller smashing, rage-inducing properties, so, you want to at least be able to recover your save file after you've smashed your ability to play the game. Carlos in the previous section mentioned how the camera was awful during the boss fight, and I wholeheartedly agree with him in that case, but I find that the camera in this game is actually fairly well suited to these more close quarters situations, and it only is awkward when there are columns that you're walking behind, or when enemies are running at you from off screen that any sensible person would be able to see, but the camera prevents you from seeing. But there's not a whole lot of that happening here, so on the whole I would say the camera management in this section is fairly good. Alright, killing a bone pillar, picking up another key. Clock tower key 2. Incredibly creative key naming. Oh, now that's a really slick platforming incorporation of the ledge grabbing mechanic, forcing the player to grab the ledge in order to avoid the damaging spikes. No clue if those are deadly spikes or if they'll probably knock you in the bottomless pit, so they probably kill you. I actually really like the ambiance of these narrow, cramped hallways. Yeah. As Carlos also pointed out, the texturing in this game is kind of par for the course for the generation. I mean, I personally find it very tolerable, but I guess to a lot of people it hasn't aged well. Alright. This platforming section looks quite a deal more aggravating than the previous one, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, and these axles, these round spinning drum things, personal item of my hatred in basically all 3D platformers, because the collision detection on those tends to be very bad, and just feels very awkward from the player standpoint. I have no idea how Jude feels about them. Maybe they feel fine to him, but we'll just see how he navigates them. A couple of seemingly pointless bone pillars here at the bottom. I mean, you have so much room to get around them that they're not really serving any purpose except a couple more random drops. I mean, in general, this clock tower section very combat light. Typically you'd see some Medusa heads or some such airborne enemies harassing the player, but perhaps the developers felt that was just throwing a bit too much at a player base that was probably just getting used to the idea of platforming in 3D. Oh, that is an obnoxious jump, and aptly illustrates why I hate quasi-circular objects in a polygon rendered game. And there is Exhibit B of why I hate circular objects in polygon based games. And that was just really unfortunate. I'm not entirely sure what Jude is hoping to get by going on that axle, but he seems to be putting it past him and deciding to give as few fucks as possible, which is seems like a noble course of action to me. I would certainly do the same. Waiting around for the convenient platform to come by, just good patient platforming. Alright. I would probably butch that jump up because I'm very bad at 3D platformers. They just feel weird to me. And yep. Okay. So that probably requires some more patience on Jude's part, waiting for the gap in the axle, which has a clear path through the spikes, rather than just jumping on them. That actually may have been an incident where the camera got the best of him, disorienting him mid-jump, which is not a really cool thing to do, developers. If any developers are watching this and they're making 3D platformers, don't do that. It's bad. And it's unfortunate that, mid-jump camera changes abrupt mid-jump camera changes were not something that was deemed obviously bad. Okay, so it looks like Jude is going to have another go at this section, successfully traverses that first axle, and buttses up the second jump. And really, isn't that all life is? Alright, climbing up this axle again. You can do this, Jude. I believe in you. I'm actually kind of disappointed that there's very little combat in here, because I was hoping to talk some about Reinhardt's various combat options compared to other Castlevania titles, compared to other games of this ilk. Oh, third clock tower key. I guess all that platforming was worth something. So he has seemingly 3 basic attacks. He's got the sort of classic Castlevania whip, which seems to have some auto-targeting feature, which, probably really good to have in this game. Oh man, that was a sick 180 ollie on Reinhardt's part. He's clearly been doing the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater cross-training. Alright. But anyway, he also has a sword, which we've seen Jude use to some good effect in very close-range combat, where the whip is obviously terrible. And then he's also got the slide, which is like the coolest thing. I love slides. It's the reason why I will never ever finish Crash Bandicoot 1, but why I will play Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3 all day, every day. Alright. Looks like we're approaching the home stretch of this section, which is probably a relief to Jude and me and pretty much everybody, because honestly, this clock tower is quite monotonous and doesn't seem like it was very efficiently built. You know, these gears have like terrible gear ratio. You know, I study physics, so clearly I'm qualified to judge all things that move. You know, even if they're in the realm of things that I don't really understand. All right, picking up a bunch of loot, which I guess is relevant. Really, I'm more interested in seeing Mr. Merchant Demon from the Underworld come back with this contract. See if we're gonna buy anything. All right, let's see. Swooshing out of his suitcase, pretty classy. And Jesus, does he have a tail? I didn't notice that the first time around. They just kind of sneaked that in there. Man, what a dapper, monkey-tailed mamma jamma. I guess Jude is buying more healing items? I mean, maybe not. I mean, he's had no shortage of healing items thrown his way. Maybe if he was playing on hard difficulty, those would be more relevant. But, you know, just to show what the game's got, mechanically, I don't mind seeing this on normal difficulty. He said hard difficulty is kind of frustrating anyway. And really, frustration is not something you want to emphasize in a Let's Play. Alright, well, we're nearing the end of this video. He's got the save point, gonna carry on to the next section, and, you know, pretty uneventful clock tower. Thanks for watching, folks.